welcome everyone who's here with us today. Thank you for joining. And one of the things I was experiencing was
Mark,
overwhelm in dealing with and so what I wanted to do was to share some of those things that I was experiencing and what I did to overcome it. And one of the things I did was to go out there and reach out to my accountability partner, who is Nelly Torres in Barcelona, Spain. And through those conversations, we were able, by speaking more frequently, she was able to help me to make some of what I was doing. And so we decided in one of those calls to put on a seminar and share with you what we experienced and how what we actually did to overcome overwhelm. And so Nelly's an economist, coach, and a certified Canfield trainer. And without further ado, Nelly, take it away.
oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. Well, as Mark said, we are.
There.
Excuse me? Okay, I go. And well, as you know, now we are in just a kind of, circumstances so, different, difficult, and this is an invisible agent, which is the coronavirus. And it is threatening us, creating uncertainty and, fear. And now more than ever is then when you have to pay attention to our attitude, how to focus on what you can control using, I'm gonna explain later on, the R factor, which depends on your attitude. And also it is very important feeling more optimistic and with confidence. Mark will talk later too about the key fundamentals and how to use self-compassion to reduce your overwhelm. And well, this is what we have. And now more than ever, that's when we have to be 100% responsibility for our lives and the results. There is a virus. We have to take some measures, such as social distancing, washing hands, using masks. In different countries, for example, in Italy, even in Spain, we are at home confined. We go out just for getting food or going to the pharmacy if necessary. But we are here just doing many things, different things. And it is very important be focused, centered, and be present. We cannot control what's happening around, right? But we can change our response, our attitude, and it will certainly make the results different. I mean, I'm confident about that. And for some time, we are going to have to change ways of doing things. Maybe some of you are in a very privileged situation, and you are more than safe. And we also are safe at home, but in the environment, there's something which is really threatening us. And perhaps this is a good time to start to be more present, focused, time to know how to live better with ourselves, with those who are close, and meditating and get the benefits of doing it. Reconnect with ourselves, take some stress off. Stress weakens, and that's not exactly what we need right now. We don't need to be watching the news all day long, It is important to be informed, but not hooked. I mean, today I decided not to watch news for one day. I watch news just for once or twice, but it's fine, just the minimum, okay? So we can do, instead, we can read, we can do something we like, start something new. Well, in other words, we can choose what we can think, and do. I am so sorry. Okay, so let's have to focus on what we can control, and what we can control, applying a formula that some of you maybe know, but others not. And this is the R factor. This is your response in front of what's going on. Our attitude is essential, and the most important thing is staying positive. So it comes from, let me explain this, because this is really important. Well, there's an equation. This is E plus R equals O. Let's see. E is the event, R is the response, and O is the outcome, right? What does it mean? The event could be now, of course, the coronavirus. This is a circumstance that we cannot control. It is something which comes and we cannot do anything. So the response is how we face to this event. So the event, we cannot control it, but our response, we can do it for sure. How? Let's see. We are the ones who create our experiences, success, the quality of our relationships, and and our health by the thoughts and the beliefs, and also the visual images. So your thoughts, your behaviors, which are exactly the thoughts, just let's say doing over and over, and then it's just like a behavior. And the visual images, it's also something that we can change. This is 3 aspects of our life we can really control. How? By changing. How are we gonna change this? So, okay, focusing in what we really want to. Although we've been doing other habits or different things for many years before, but now more than ever is when we have to change this. How? If you are at home and you cannot go out, you have to invent, you have to improvise things to do at home. Later we'll have a brief exercise just to point out this. So it is important realize how our thoughts, behaviors, and visual images affect our life. Then, for example, let's see. Every outcome you experience in life is a result of how you respond to an earlier event or events in your life. If you don't like the outcomes that you're currently getting, there are 2 basic, choices you can make. Okay, you can blame the event. In other words, you can blame the economy. Now you could say, okay, I'm going to blame on, the government, the coronavirus. In other times, maybe your boss. And instead of this, simply you can change your response to this event. And then you can change you can change your thinking, change your communication, the pictures you see in your mind, to make and pass this time in a different way, to get an outcome much better, a new outcome. So I would like to just point out the 3 responses you have any control over. So this is your behavior, your thoughts, your visual imagery. So the last choice, I would like you to, focus in that the last choice you always have is your attitude. Being positive in front of all of these. Everyone is gonna, face in a different way, but we have to be responsible. It's your choice. A great example of this is Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you know Viktor Frankl, but I'm sure you do. Viktor Frankl It was a psychiatrist, a philosopher, even author, and he was born in Vienna, in Austria, and was Jewish. He wrote the book named Man's Reach for Meaning. He was in a concentration camp in the Second World War, and he was, you know, people were dying around him, and it was horrific. However, he made a decision that no one would own his spirit. He chose to find meaning and purpose. He discovered that those people who chose hope survive longer. You always have a choice about your attitude. So, hi guys, have you got any pen close to you? Can you grab, because we are gonna do a short exercise, or at least you can think about it. And this is the following. This is just to remind you that it is important, be responsible for your life and results. So now imagine that you could get, let's say, 5% more responsibility for your life and well-being. And I'm going to give you some examples. You can take them anyway. And I would like you to write down just some of them. For example, imagine that if you were to take this 5% more responsibility for your life, and especially now for your well-being. For example, I would exercise 30 minutes a day. I would only eat healthy food to get my immune system stronger. Lemon, avocado, no. I would meditate more often. I would connect with meaningful people, just be more present. And then I ask you, please, just think or write. If you can write it, it would be better. And just write, if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my life and well-being, I would, and just write down, what would you do if you can get more responsibility? I'm gonna give you just a quick minute. It just to focus in every situation, in every country, in what would you do? What do you think you should remind to do? So I'm getting this minute at the same time I'm talking, because now it's a time where we have to be very centered in thinking positive things. Just notice around us the positive and the good things, even with husbands, wives, children, people around. We are gonna discover the importance of, take care of each other, love each other, love ourselves, which is very important. So, well, on the other hand, I would like to say that there's a chat if you want to comment something. Now with the screen, we cannot see what you write, but later on we can see it and share it if you want. So, well, have you finished?
I have.
Yes.
Good. Do you need more time?
Not me.
You, Christopher?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Peter?
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Janet, Tupali?
Maybe Nelly, we can take a share of just anyone who wants to share what they wrote. Just go ahead, unmute yourself and speak.
Hello.
Maybe call on people on the cards one at a time. That would probably be easier than saying just speak.
Okay. All right, Janet, you were volunteering then to go ahead.
Well, for me, I'm just taking more time for me, but while I'm up north here and spending more time doing after work, just doing some productive things, crafts that I haven't done, but I'm doing them as like for I knit hats for newborns up here in the north to be donated and stuff like that. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I haven't done it for a long time. So that's what I'm choosing to do to stay positive.
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you, Janet. Maybe Rupali, would you like to do a share?
Sure. Being a mother and to two small kids, and in a family of staying with my husband and my in-laws, I commit to playing a board game every evening of about 30 minutes, or alternatively playing a sport, which could be badminton or football, which we're doing daily, so that as a community, that's helping all of us really talk our way through, and the physical board game or a sport really brings the happiness quotient up as well.
Okay, fantastic. And we'll have time to share for others. If you want to share, you can always share in your chat. Nellie, do you just want to continue just for time so that we can stay on schedule?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. So, well, and the way it is that we can change our thoughts and we can focus in the positive. And I would like to encourage you and give you all the support you need, not only now, but also whenever you need it. And let confidence and optimism be your allies. So you are the one who can stop fear by confronting it. So all the good things are on the other side of fear. So feel the fear and take action anyway. I mean, for myself now, it's just like the first time I went out for food, it was just like there were a lot of people in the supermarket, and I could, feel the tension in people. And so because there are many people dying, really. They are quite old, but also in young ages. And yeah, I really felt the fear for twice or three times, just short times. But you have to move on anyway, in your house or wherever. Just think and use your imagination for your advantage. This is really, really important. And all the good is on the other side of fear. This is what I think I've experienced in my life just 1 year ago, just taking another path in my career that I love it. But I want just to encourage you to be positive and thinking, good things, and to counteract these catastrophic images that you can see. Maybe better not to look at them, but we use the principle of positivity and try to imagine that we are going to arrive at the end of this period just healthy and positive. And we can choose, of course, what we think, and know more than ever, that's when we have to be. Oops.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's someone.
Can I ask you guys all to put yourself on mute? I think there is someone. I don't know, maybe Chris or
No,
Peter.
not me. It's not me.
Peter, maybe.
No.
If you could put yourself on mute. Someone. No. Okay, it's now gone. Then if you just put yourself on mute, then it's great. Okay, thanks. Okay,
I think
continue,
Nellie can mute everybody. Nellie should be able to mute everybody.
Yeah, I can, but then Mark, I cannot talk. This is the point being, I think so. But anyway, I'll try. I'm just finishing now. But thank you, Janet. Well, now more than ever, that's when we have to be 100% responsible for us. So, for some time, we're going to have to change ways of doing things different and sometimes uncomfortable. uncomfortable, and this is a challenge really, and it affects not only the social, as I said, but also the economy. So things are gonna change for sure, but it is our responsibility think a positive. And well, and let's see hope where everything is confusing, staying positive. Again, looking at the good things, move on, and you will move forward. You are the one who has the control of your life, your inner side, your soul, you know, being in a good mood, mindset, energetic, spirit, motivation. So I encourage you to be positive, and let's see all of us passing through this the best we can. So thank you. And now it's Mark's turn. So here we are, Mark.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nelly, and thank you. I know how much of a struggle it is that you have to speak English all the time because English is your second language. But I think you're doing fantastic. So, kudos to you for being very brave and speaking an all English webinar. What I wanted to focus first was to talk about need to focus on our fundamentals, and I think one of the things that is going to be happening right now, and we're all are aware of it, and I was being overwhelmed during the bombing of the Boston Marathon. If we remember back, there was a study that was done, and what they showed was the people who actually watched TV had more PTSD than the actual people who were at the Boston Marathon while the bombing happened. In other words, if we continually watch bad news, we can actually get traumatized by all of that bad news. And I realized that that was happening to me because I was watching the news, reading everything about coronas. I'm staying at my brother's place, and they had the TV going on in the background. But every minute for about 3 or 4 hours, it was just a continuous loop on coronas. And it was at that point in time I realized that I couldn't take it anymore. And I just had to shut the TV off and stop reading everything and just go out and not do anything for about a day. And after that one day of not watching any news, I hadn't written for about 5 weeks really well. And then the next day I woke up, I wanted to write, I was able to write again. And that's when I wrote about my article and blog on being overwhelmed. And so at the moment we're being overwhelmed. And when you're being overwhelmed, essentially means that your stress is actually gone through the roof. And one of the things that happens during stress are following 3 things. And that happens during stress. When you're stressed, your body shuts down. Every cell, every 50 trillion of your cells in your body goes into protection mode. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that we stop in our immune system. We stop under the internal functions. For example, our immune system gets shut down, and all the blood and all our energy goes out to our legs and our arms. And why is that? Because during many thousands of years ago, when we had to face either fixing a disease or facing a lion, facing the lion and running away was the most important thing. So our body has actually grown to shut that off. And the third thing that happens when we're stressed, we go from being conscious to being unconscious, because our unconscious reflexes are faster than our things happen. Our body basically is in the shutdown state, and we are actually now losing consciousness, and our immune system are compromised. And what happens when our immune systems are compromised? We get sick. And the one thing we don't want to do is to actually get sick in this time period. And our body has, when our immune systems are healthy, we can actually fight and overcome the viruses that are there. And at any moment in time, we have many viruses and bacteria actually in our body. but our body is able to take care of it. And this is the reason why, when our immune system is not compromised with stress, it is able to function properly. And that's what happens, reason why people under the age of 50, we're finding, many of them are actually having lower levels of death and being able to easily overcome it, because their immune system or innate system is able to overcome what we see there. So how do we get to make sure we reduce our stress? Well, we got to be conscious of reducing our stress and keeping our immune system up and running. So eating, focusing on the fundamentals. Eating becomes more important. We got to make sure we eat proper nutrients more than ever. Yes, we're going to binge on sugar every now and again to reduce stress, but we have to try to be conscious of that and eat the proper foods so our body get the proper nutrients. We got to sleep more and pay more attention to sleep. And once again, it's based on our immune system. And then moving. We got to move the 30 seconds. And one thing I would recommend for all of us who haven't tried it yet is to meditate. And meditation has been known to be a stress reducer. The one part about all of this I want to talk to you about that hasn't actually been mentioned a lot probably on the news is the fact that we are going through a grief cycle. Grief actually happens during trauma and when things are taken away from us. And one thing that's been taken away from us, most of us now, are actually our daily social interactions. And so we're going through a grief process and we're being traumatized during that grief process. And there are 5 parts to the Ross Kubler part of dealing with, the grief curve and going through it. And this is part I didn't recognize, and I think it's very important. And I'm going to use President Trump, only not because I like him or dislike him, only because you can see the 5 phases very clearly. The first phase is called denial. And what you saw with Trump was that he went into denial about the whole thing. We're going to get through this, no problem. It's not an issue. By April and by Easter, we'll have lifted all of this. And then he got angry, which is the second stage. And in doing anger, we become fearful and we blame others. So it's blaming the Chinese for not having disclosure. And we're seeing Boris Johnson go through the same thing too. He was in denial before in England, thinking they could do herd immunity. And now he's blaming, and again, they're blaming the Chinese for non-disclosure and all that. And then now bargaining. So the latest news is the third phase is bargaining. So you're setting up and you're going, well, let us bargain. And if only we have 100,000 deaths in America, then this will be a good thing. And so Trump is now bargaining to have only 100,000 deaths. And then after that, we get to the bottom of this, or some people would call it on the rising, which is depression. And that's how some of us are going to be feeling yet. When we're stressed, we'll be depressed, and we need to understand we need to go through that phase about it. And then the last stage will be acceptance. And when we finally accept that yes, and be realistic that yes, it's going to be terrible. However, we need to continue to have hope and remain optimistic. And there's a lot of room for optimism and hope, because the thing is, what is this gonna change? And many of you have seen, I've sent out an article on Bill Gates, and he believes that the thing that we're going to be changing is that we're going to be more loving to ourselves, we're going to be loving to each other, and we're going to take care of the planet more. And so that's a phase of once you start accepting, is to look to the positive, what we can do. Nellie, next slide, please. The next slide talks about social distance versus social isolation. And this is what made me come out of it and realize I was in overwhelm very quickly. I was very fortunate to have what we call our mastermind groups, and Rupali's in one of my masterminds, and Nellie's my accountability partner. And what I found out was actually by getting a group of people together, and we did a mastermind of we have 6 people, and it was a very positive experience to discuss. And we did what was called a heart sharing, which was we just shared amongst all of us what we were feeling, and then talked about some very positive things. And what I found out by that, I left with a very optimistic feeling and had hope and was feeling better. And with technology, while we need to do social distancing, it's now important for us more than ever to reach out via technology just to say hello to people that we haven't actually said hello to, or just to say hello to, you know, our grandparents on a daily basis. We may not reach out to them, but just to call, or to other people who you haven't contacted in a long time. And this is something in which becomes more important than ever. Next slide, Nellie, please. And the last thing is need to love ourselves first before we can help the world. And this becomes more important because one of the things that I noticed is that when we talk about loving ourselves and what are the things about loving ourselves, these goes back to the fundamentals of doing the things. If you love yourself, then you're worth it to wake up in the morning and to do your exercise. It's worth it for you to eat properly. It's worth it for you to get your sleep because you are worth it. It's worth it for you to meditate. It's worth it for you to reach out. And the more we love ourselves, the better off we are. And this leads back into compassion because we're not going to always be doing all of these things. And when we find ourselves in a position where we're not being loving to ourselves, we need to go back and be more compassionate with ourselves. And we're going to go through an exercise shortly after this to go through and teaching ourselves how to do this. So one of the things I would recommend you doing is go through a self-compassion. And so, for example, yesterday I went in and I had very oily, terrible food, and I felt sick after, which was not eating properly. And I just recognized, says, look, you know, that was the food that was available. That's what was cooked. You know, that was, I didn't want to go out because it's still self-isolating here and self-quarantine in Jamaica. And so I just said, it's okay. It's a moment for self-compassion. And that you did wrong, that we are all here. We're all here and we're all human beings. Hello? Can you hear me? Sorry, we just went off there. We're all human beings, and it's a moment for self-compassion. I just needed to give myself some self-compassion. That's what I did. So one of the things I'm going to do at the moment is to do, if we can actually just go through an exercise and go through an exercise. I call it a RIM exercise in self-compassion, and how to love ourselves. So I want you guys all to relax at the moment. I just wanted to know, Nellie, am I doing okay here? Can you hear me okay? Just as a feedback?
Yes, I can hear you properly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. So what I want us all to do right now is we're just going to close our eyes, and I'm going to go through a 5-minute exercise and just teaching you self-compassion and how to love yourselves. And many of us never learned how to love ourselves. And so I'm just going to go through and provide a RIM exercise that does the feeling of how to love yourself. So if we can all just close our eyes at the moment. And what I want you to do is to take a deep breath. Inhale at the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine inhaling through your stomach. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling through your back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through your top of your forehead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the bottom of your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what I want you to do is to call upon an imaginary a person who might be your grandmother. It might be a guardian angel, someone who you believe can do you no wrong. And what I want you to do in that space is, as you're thinking of this particular person, that person, you can speak to them and you can do absolutely no wrong. And no matter what you do or you say to them, of all the horrible things you've done in your life or not done, that they will always love you for it. And as you imagine this process, just think through right now, speaking to them, telling them whatever it is that you want to do, to tell them of all the horrible the bad things, and they still love you. And have that feeling of love now go into your body. And as you hear them telling you how much they love you and how much they appreciate you, how much they know that the real you is the most loving, kind person, I want you to see like a stream of colored energy emanating from their mouth into your body somewhere. And as that energy fills up your body, I want you to locate where that energy is going into your body and what color that stream of energy is. And as you feel it, you'll start to see until you receive that entire amount of the stream of colored energy, and you feel what they're feeling, that love inside of your body. And as you're feeling that love inside of your body, I want you to replicate 50 trillion times, one for each cell of your being. And I want that feeling of that love that's there to go throughout your body, into every cell of your being, from the tip of your head, into your fingertips, down into your legs, into your toes, into the core of your spine, into every pore of your skin. It replicates 50 trillion times. And as you're feeling that love replicate throughout all yourself, you'll notice your higher self comes into being. Your higher self feeling that there is there. And what I want you to do is to cross your arms over and give yourself a hug. Your higher self, give yourself a hug. And your higher self will be able to emanate from your higher self, giving yourself that hug, the same feeling that you're currently having. And as you feel that love emanating into you and feeling every pore, that now you yourself are giving yourself that love. And as you give yourself that love, what I want to do, when you're ready, your imagination is going to integrate this experience by easily and effortlessly bringing full feeling and normal weight back into your body, your arms and legs, fingers and toes. And when it's complete, your eyes will spontaneously open, and you know you retain every detail of the wisdom shared and felt, and the sense of love expressed by the person who expressed their love to you and by yourself. Okay. And so I want, perhaps, we're just going to do a round of sharing now that we're back. And we're just going to call on some others who weren't there, who may want to share what they felt. Marvin, do you want to unmute yourself and just share with us how you felt?
Sure thing. Morning, Mark. Great to hear from you in beautiful Jamaica. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody else is doing well on the call. Yeah, compassion, and I guess the root of mindfulness is compassion, and the root of compassion is self-compassion. And whenever I go through hard times or I guess joyful times, the connection is really for me to find, and in this case, if it's something a little bit negative or troubling, to find that sensation in my body, whether it's density or burning or coldness or warmth, and really feel the sense of what's there and relating to that emotion, and then bringing, like you said, and I guess Christine Neff's a big influence in my life, bringing compassion to what nourishment you really need. And the lesson for me is always to know that nourishment is always here. And I love myself enough to know that nourishment is always here. And just knowing that is calming by itself. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share, Mark.
Thank you very much, Marvin. Marie-Lise, are you able to share with us? And I forgot, I know that I think it says Estonia that you're joining us from. Marie-Lise, are you able?
Hi. Sorry, what was the question again?
Sorry, if you wanted to share with us, but if you want to just also remind me which of the country you're from. Is it Estonia?
Estonia, yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for joining us from Estonia.
Hi, Marie-Lise.
Hi.
would you like to share a little bit about how you felt during that exercise?
So I don't know really, like my mind is always like racing, so maybe I was not able to relax completely, but I really love to just, you know, take the time for myself and go through this exercise and yeah, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And maybe if anyone wants to, you can hit on your participant, right? To raise your hands, or I'll call on maybe Toby just to share.
Hi there.
Hi, Toby. Toby's joining us from Toronto, I think.
Yep, Toronto. Sorry, how did you want me to directly address the question, Mark?
Just what do you think of the experience of just a little bit of the self-love exercise and the feeling that you had? What do you thought about it?
I think it's remarkable. I think it's absolutely remarkable. And I guess I have to say from my point of view that I did one of these exercises with Mark. I don't even know how long ago it was, Mark, a couple of weeks maybe?
Yeah.
And it literally has provided a sustainable calm that's pretty amazing considering who I am. And I'm glad to have this reminder today to go back to it, because it's really powerful.
Okay, thank you, Toby. And one of and part of actually just, you know, just reminding ourselves, and this is the part of being overwhelmed. When we take care of ourselves, when we take care of our fundamentals, when we reach out to others, we're able to function, and that's how we're able to reduce the stress in our lives, reduce the overwhelm. And most importantly, is, as Nelly pointed out to us, it's our focus that's most important for us, where we're focused on now. And it's not necessarily to be unrealistic, because we can be realistic. I've probably been, you know, very realistic about what's to come, and it still we will get worse. However, once we can go through that cycle and understand we're going through that cycle of grief and get to acceptance, then we can actually focus on ourselves, on what we can do positively about it. And so that's what we're going to be focused on, is what, you know, what can we do positive about? And a lot of good things will start to go, and a lot of things are being very optimistic. Just recently, I think the UK just published recently that their numbers are no longer going to be in the millions of, you know, of death. They redid a simulation, and they're showing that it actually will be much less dramatically, as small as only about 20,000. So that's a big change of what's actually going to be happening in the world. We're seeing the governments taking positive reaction. We're seeing vaccines that are now out there that are now coming out faster than they ever thought before. Now they're estimating about 12 months on the science instead of 18 that we'll have vaccines. And so this is all very good. And the most important thing that we can do, though, is on the fundamentals of it for ourselves, is to keep our immune systems good. And that will help us keep ourselves healthy and our friends healthy. And with that, if there's any other questions, we're open to just asking questions. So you can either share it in the chat, or just raise your hand, or just shout out. Nelly, do you want to back in gallery view and take off the shared screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna, yes. This is, okay.
Sure.
I just would like to say something else according what you said just right now.
Go ahead.
And okay, and this is, you're right. Scientists are working hard to get at least an antivirus drug at least in my, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, we are breaking up a little, Nelly, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And yeah, I see that there's something, well, anyway. So just say that in my region they are working for an antivirus drug in a few weeks, and it's gonna slow down, the disease and make the healthcare, can reach all the people infected and treat them well in good conditions. And this is good. And for instance, there is in the Manchester coach, which is who is from Barcelona, just gave a donation of $1 million, about a little bit more. Also, Messi, who is a player from Football Club Barcelona, one of the greatest football players in the world, gave also 1 million. So there's here in my region, in Barcelona, concretely in Barcelona, they are working, the scientists, they are getting very close to the antivirus, against this coronavirus. And probably in 4 weeks, we'll get it. And at the same time, they are working with a scientist from Germany, I think from the United States too, and from some other country. So this is good news, apart from being focused in the positive and what we've been talking before. But I just wanted to say that, because this is good, and we need also this kind of feedback just to keep strong. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Hi, Mark, Nelly. I just wanted to
Hi,
chime in. Hi, I've been listening, and I just want to say thanks for this session. I think it was really good. I have something else going on, but I jumped in late and I caught what you guys were saying. I think it's so important now to talk about, self-care and focusing on what you can control. And I think, I'm not sure if I was going through that phase where, at first I was going through a lot of panic, just watching the news constantly and just seeing what's happening around the world, and it felt very frightening. And I think this is about weeks 3 in quarantine. By the way, I'm from Jamaica, everyone on the call. And I find now that I'm moving more into having to get control over my life again. And I think it's so important, this message of, being compassionate. And I think I had to be compassionate with myself when I was going through that panic phase of just reading the news, listening to everything, and just being worried, and just not beating myself up for wasting about 2 weeks worrying. So now I'm moving into trying to get more control over myself. But my question for you guys is this: in this time when we're going through all of this uncertainty, certainly as coaches and consultants, entrepreneurs, I'm now thinking, what do I do next? Should I be pushing ahead with trying to get things done, or should I really be slowing down and, thinking about my health? I'm just kind of wondering what your perspective on that is, being productive versus slowing down now and just,
Nelly, you want to go ahead and
Yeah,
answer?
I go ahead.
Or if anyone else also has an answer.
Yes. Well, for example, in my case, okay,
for Lorianne, go ahead, Nelly. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, okay, this is for Lorianne. I'm economist, and I'm just more than 1 year. I just changed a little bit my path. So, as a coach, entrepreneur, and especially in business, and doing also getting this technology, which is amazing, to get in touch and connect each other. But in my case, for example, I've got a daughter, 13 years old, and living with me. Just we are 2 of us. I've got my parents in the same building, but three flats above. And for example, I'm the one who has to go out and get food. But then my daily routine is just, okay, take care of myself, just take measures when I go out, take measures anyway. I put my mask and my gloves. And, when I come back home, I just get rid of all my, dress, and I take a shower. and wash my hands and take off my gloves. And then apart from this, I'm creating. This is the time that if I can go out from my house, because I have to work here, I can prepare, I can plan. This is a time to fix your planning. What are you gonna do next? By the time you can go out, because it is said that probably in maybe 3 weeks, depending on each country, when it slow down, then it partially will go out and we'll do some things. And I think now it's time to prepare and work on your stuff, if you as much as you can at home, and don't leave this in a side. But your priority is your health, for sure, the health of you and your family and your relatives. And so I don't know if it helps you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Nelly. Absolutely. I do think it is a time to prepare and plan. I guess it's utilizing some of these self-care tips to just ensure that you're not becoming overwhelmed and stressed out, thinking about what's coming next, but instead doing it in a more positive way. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Peter, I know, Peter or Chris, do you guys have any questions or you want to make any comments to hear from you?
No, go ahead, Christopher.
No. Go ahead, Peter. You go ahead. I've been here since the start. You go ahead.
Mark, you are a lucky guy out in the heat of Jamaica.
Yes, I am. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, and the beach behind you. Goodness gracious. Anyway, it's interesting to hear from all of you. I've lived my life from a very young age, okay, to be very positive, and I'm always a positive spinner. I never knew why. Maybe because my mother told me, you should not cry over spilled milk or look at a glass half full. And I've always been like this. I mean, Mark, you know me. I take on challenges and all that. I look after myself. I've been taking vitamin C since I was 16, and a lot of supplements today. Never knew why, but I just told myself to do it. And I'm finding out what has happened today. Okay, this whole situation with COVID-19 is really a reset button for the world. Life will be very different once things start to settle down. We're not going to hear about price earning ratios and market caps and all that stuff. People are getting sick of it, Mark. We'll see a reset. And while I don't know what to expect, okay, things will be very different. Most people will look at life and the world from a very different set of eyes. Maybe not half of the Americans, okay, the people who are behind Trump, but the rest of the world will look at it very differently. And China, okay, will really shine. Look at what they're doing now. I'm so surprised. They tackle their problems and they've gone out and say, look, let's help the rest of humanity. So, and we've got a lot to learn from them. But be brave, look after yourself, keep your immune system up. This is what I've been telling all my friends. We can't control anything out there. The only thing we can control is our immune system. So just build it, optimize it. We can't boost it. We can optimize it. So what I've been doing is to get more sleep. I've turned off my alarm for the last month. Can't hear you, Mike. Can't hear you, Mark.
All right. Thanks very much, Peter. Chris, do you have a comment? And then we'll wrap it up.
I have a comment too when everyone's done.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Janet. Sorry.
Nelly, you were very informative, as usual, Mark. As far as being calm, I have a very calming personality. If I get any calmer than this, I'll be dead. So, but it was very informative, guys, and thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, Chris. Janet, was it Janet that wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, there was about what we can do. We've got so many tools, and I don't know whether the others have studied with Jack, but I was certified in 2000. Like I've been with it since 2010. But we've got mind mapping. What do you want to do now? This time, it was mentioned a reset, but also it's a time to do mind mapping. What would you do now that you've got the time? Dream bigger. Like Jack shares a story about the car dealership that when the economy dropped, instead of saying, "Oh, woe is us," where the market's down, they went out and they took their cars to the golf courses and took them for test drives. So those who can't get out, like we're not doing social events now, but look at the technology we have today that we've never had before, where we can reach out in this case, like this webinar and that. You guys all have tools and story. Do Facebook Lives to people with tips and stuff on what to do. There's so much out there. Just instead of watching the news and that, think of, just like you said, Mark, you took that break from the news and look at how your brain came back. Journal. What do you want to do? That all comes to play, and just take that time. Nellie and I have talked about this before, right, Nellie? On what to do and how to move forward. And right now I'm doing a reset for personal reasons and taking a step back. But there's so much we can do with what we've got today. So thank you both for taking this time.
Thank you very much, Janet. I really appreciate that. And all of you, of course. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I just want us, as we go back, just to think of one word, positive, and we can shout it out each. My word will be love, and you guys can choose whatever word you do. And as we say goodbye to each other, I see someone had written here in chat. Thanks, have to run. Okay, all right. So thank you all. And this is a good example of the amazing power of the technology we have today to reach her out on a global basis of what will be happening. Today, we had people from Barcelona, Jamaica, Toronto, Alberta, India, and also Estonia. And I don't know, Peter, are you in Montreal or Toronto?
Montreal, unfortunately.
And therefore Montreal. And so this is the power of us getting together on a global basis to help and connect with each other. And so that's one of the great positives that will happen as a result of what's actually going on. So thank you all. Love, peace, and see you guys again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.